I first just want to say thank you for sitting down with us today. I'm really excited to get to know you and hear your story and share this story with the world and hopefully just let the world know more about Tibet and the culture and where it stands now.
Yes, and I'm staying from Dharmsala, 18 May. And I would like to tell much about the Tibet, and people doesn't know much about the Tibet. And myself, I came from Tibet, and I have seen a lot what is different between the people who are in India and people who are living in Tibet.
So first, we're just going to start with some biographical questions. Do you know when and where you were born?
I born in Lhasa. When I was 4 years old, I came with my dad in Dharmsala. I think in 1985. I don't remember much, but I was so small. And why I came here is my grandparents. They came in 1959 with His Holiness Dalai Lama in Dharmsala, and my dad never seen his parents for almost 8 years. And then after that, they have a contract, and they told that there is a good school in TCB school, and you have to take your child in Dharmsala. And also during that time, in Tibet, you have to pay a school fee, and my parents have not much enough to pay to send the child to the school, so I came here. And when I was 6 years old, I went to TCB school, and I stayed almost 11 years in here. In 1993, the Chinese government said to my dad, I have to come back to Tibet because he is working under the Chinese government. So he said he don't want, and he said if you don't, you have to cut your salary and you have become a jobless. So he had no choice for that. So I went back with my dad.
And you went back to Lhasa?
Yeah, in Lhasa. I was born in Lhasa. And in 1994, I went back with him. And beginning, it's too difficult to get a job in Tibet because I couldn't speak in Chinese. So later on, because in Tibet, they have not much who knows English. So they love to give me a job as a guide. And I did a guide for almost 18 years.
So, kind of going back, you said that you were born in Lhasa and you left when you were about 4 years old. Did you have any brothers and sisters come with you?
Yeah, my sister came with me, but she stayed only 3 years. She was not happy at that. And my mom came to meet me, and she went with her.
So it was just you and your father in Dharmsala?
No, me alone.
You alone?
Yeah, in a boarding school, in TCB school, I stayed there. I have grandparents in here, in Dharmsala, but they never used to take me for holiday. I have to stay in school.
Wow. So you moved over here by yourself when you were 4 years old, and you said you started school at TCV when you were 6 years old. Can you kind of talk about that experience, what it was like going to school here?
I love the school very much because in Tibet we didn't get opportunity. And not only me, many of the Tibetan people, they love to go to school during that time because they cannot afford for that. So I like to study in here. But when the school's getting a holiday time, we don't have our parents with us because it's very far away. So I'm very sad about that. Actually, it's okay in school. The school life is the happiest life.
So you were very happy going to school here in Dharmsala?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you had that.
Actually, I don't like to go back in 1994 with my dad, but I have no choice. Because he's losing a job.
So, do you know what exactly your father does in the Chinese government, or what he work?
He's a school teacher.
He was a school teacher? Okay, so he worked, you work under the government as a school teacher? So he taught
Tibetan language.
Tibetan language in Tibet?
Yeah, in Tibetan history. And he's also one of the primary school headmaster.
So what did that look like for your family, having your father work for the Chinese government after so many people felt maybe hurt by the Chinese coming into Tibet? Did your family face any problems with that socially?
When I went back in 1994, my parents didn't tell me anything about what happened to my mom in that time. But there is a big demonstration in 1987 in Lhasa. That time I was in school. So that time they put the fire and near the Chokang temple, and also they put the gas with the smoke, and people cannot breathe also. And my house is almost near to the Chokang temple, and my mom and her friends, 4 of them, they brought the bucket and full of water with the towel to pass to the people suffering with the gas. And the Chinese knew that my mom and others did it, and she put a prison for 4 days. For that. And my parents, they didn't tell me anything about that. And recently on the puja time, in puja time, one of my dad's friend from America, he came here and he told me everything about that I knew recently. I don't know anything about that.
Wow. Have you talked to your mother about that at all?
No.
No. So how does that feel, kind of knowing that you lived in a place that was so divided, to say that there were some people who felt oppressed and then other people who, when the Chinese came, the Chinese people felt...
When I was school, I knew that the Chinese treated very badly about the Tibetan people who live in Tibet. But I never seen it, my own. And when I went back to Lhasa, I saw terrible. Then I realized that it's more harmful, how to say, very badly. One day, if I tell you the story, it's 1990s, between 1997 or 1998. I don't remember it, the year. And I went to pick up the tourists to the airport. On the way, when we passed to Lhasa, after 30 kilometers, all the cars are stopped on the way. And they said, what's happening? And the driver said, it might be accident. And the traffic police told us, you have to get it down. And he asked why, and you have to go on that hill. And what's on the hill? He said, don't ask me so many questions, you have to go there. And everybody get it down from the bus or car. We went there, and suddenly after 15 minutes, 3 trucks came. And each of the truck, they have 15 soldiers with one prison. And they tied their hand on the back, and they put the head on their neck, and then they take it out from the truck, and one of the soldiers, he put the guns on his knee, and he kneeled down, and 3 of them. And I didn't see the face because it's all covered in it. And everybody was surprised what's going on there. And we don't know what they did it, why they're doing it. And we have no right to say it. You have to watch it. And then on the jeep, the young soldiers with the hat, but only you can see the eyes. And they have a gun. And another jeep, 2 doctors came, and in their hand they have a chalk, and they marked it on the back side with the 3 prisoners. And I said, why they are making the mark? And the driver said, because you have to the heart, they marked it. Then it's easy for them to shoot it. When they marked it, on the jeep, the 3 young soldiers came with a hat and they shoot it. They said 1, 2, 3, then they shoot it. You know, they are very, very young, 23, 24, and 27 years old. They are very young. And why they are killing it? Even they are a criminal or whatever, you can put it in a prison. And we don't know what they did it. And they killed it. But 27 years old, he didn't die at that time when they shoot first time. And the second time they shoot it, still he is moving it. And thirdly, they put it on the mouth and they shoot it. And when they died it, the person who is come family, if they came to pick up the dead body, they have to pay for the bullet. And the 27 years old who died very badly, and his parents came it, but they are not crying for that. And you have to pay for the bullet, and they took the dead body. And the 2 of them, they dig the soil and they put it underground and they put the prayer flag. And we have to watch it. We have no right in Tibet, honestly. In many of the world, they doesn't know much about the Tibet. They heard it and they never seen the real one. And we went back to pick up the group, and I can't speak it out. Actually, we have to explain about on the way to the hotel. We have to tell the mountain and the river and what's growing on the field and how people live it. Actually, we have to explain, but I can't. And the group leader said, Nyma, why you are not today? Why you are not talking? I can't. Even 3 days I can't eat it also, because I have seen that. In my life, it's the first time I have seen like that. And one of my friend also, he went to prison. He's also from the TCB school. And when he came back, unhealthy, how they treated in a prison. It's like a small house. You cannot stand up. Only you can sit it. And how long you have to sit it like that? 3 months, imagine. And then they put the bucket where you do the pee. And every time the same food. And you have to sleep on the floor. And at that time, it's a winter. And every 11 o'clock, they will call you. Not only you, other 2 people with him. And the three of them, you have to watch how they beat the prisoners. And when they beat it, they will not beat like this. They put the blanket because you cannot see the injured. When he came back from the prison, kidney fell. And that he told us about that. So how many Tibetan people, political prisoners, how they treated. In 2008 also, when I came to here to meet my son in TCB school, and I went back on the bridge. It's the same date, 2008, the 14th March started in Lhasa, and I was on a bridge between the Nepal and Tibet border. And they checked all the bags, and I never know that time it was started. And they checked one by one the bag. And I have a friend who lives in Lhasa, and her son is in Missouri school, and he sent a small present to give his mom. and I didn't check it because he stitched it very tightly. So the soldiers, they cut it that back, and he sent it that school book. On the front page, when they open it, it's His Holiness Dalai Lama's picture, and the second one, our national flag. And how they treated me, they pulled me and pushed it and hit it and said, "What is this?" I said, "I don't know. The child had sent it to his mom. If it's a drugs, can you tell that? No, it's the same. Now you have to go to prison." I said, "Why I have to go to prison? I didn't did." Then they put me on the one small house where there's no light, and I stand there for 8 hours in there. And after 8 hours, he came it, and he asked me lots of questions. And said where I studied. I said I'm from TCV school. I have to say it because they registered each and everything. Once they have to ask coach or asked, then they will put you in a blacklist, and then you don't know who is behind you, listening, where you are going, where you are meeting, what you do on that day. Even in a monastery in Lhasa, when we take the tourists for the monastery, the tourists, they love to see what's going on in a monastery. And the monks love to talk with the tourists. But some of the monks, they dress like a monk, but they are not a monk. They are priests. Kandian monastery, they have so many monks. When they want to go to Lhasa, without permission, you cannot go to the Lhasa. To get the permission, it's very difficult. That's why many monks, they don't want to stay in a monastery. Not because they don't want to be a monk, because they treat it every time. Every 4 o'clock, they have a politics meeting, 1 hour. They don't want to do it, and they don't want to listen what is they saying. In every monastery, they have a police station. Not Chinese police, also we have a Tibetan police also, they're mixed. I think in Tibet, outside, the people always smiling face, but in their heart, it breaks. We have no right. The Chinese always saying that we are under the China, but they can go anywhere. But the Tibetan people, even you are Tibetan, being a Tibetan who live in Tibet, we have no right to go to hot spring or for the Mount Kailash, Mount Everest. You have to get the permission. And to get a permission, you have to pass one paper to another, and it will take a month to get. Sometimes you will not get it. Many people love to do when some special days, they like to go to far away for pilgrimage because they cannot go. Also for the tourists, they cannot go by themselves. You have to go with a guide. In the school also, the first language is the Chinese, and the second language is the Tibetan. And when I gave a birth to my son, I didn't went for job, and I started staying in a home, nothing to do, or I have to do something. And there is an orphan school run by the Tibetan lady. And I want to work there. And went there, and she is very happy that you can teach children English. And I did for 3 months. After 3 months, the police came. You cannot teach because you study from India, and you will put bad things to the student. So we don't like it. They rejected it. In 2008, some American students came for the banner for the Olympic. That time I was in Everest base camp. And they put the banner, no more Olympic. Suddenly, after 15 minutes, you know how many trucks of police came to Mount Everest? And the guide and the driver, they doesn't know about they will putting a banner on the base camp. That is not their fault. But the guide, jobless, and the driver also, they took the license. And the guide, they put in prison for 3 days. And the Mount Everest was closed for 1 year for the foreigner tourists because of that. And the Chinese tourists can go. Only the foreigners are not allowed to go there. Even when we take a tourist from Lhasa to the border by road, and on the way, when we drop the tourists, when we come back with the empty car, the police or the soldiers or the army, if we didn't give the lift to them, what they will do, they will note down the number. And next time when we have a tourist, without any reason, they will stop for hours like that. I'm giving an interview because the world should know about the Tibet, what's going on in Tibet, how they treat it. And when I was in Lhasa, I don't know anything news about Kham or Amdo when they have a demonstration. They are not showing anything, no news. And when I'm here, I can see in a VOA what's going on in Tibet. One of my friends who works in a railway station, in 2008, she's telling me that many of the Tibetan people, they're alive Tibetan people, they put in a sack and they tied it up and they put it on the train like a luggage. And also how many people died in 2008. My aunt, she's living near the Ramochi temple. And when the 2008, 14 March demonstration started, first in Ramochi temple. And when they demonstrated it, and no one was allowed to come out. And some people doesn't know about it will happen like that. They will going, and some people are going for work, some are going for school like that on the road. And they shoot it, innocent people. How many people they killed it during that time? And when the family want the dead body and they didn't give it. I don't know what they did it. And my aunt's husband, nephew was killed at that time. And then when he wanted the dead body and they didn't give it, and they said they buried it. And this is the ash they put in the box. And this is the dead body ash, and you can take that. Many prisoners, the political prisoner in prison, they stay for 4-5 years like that. When they come out, looks healthy, when they come out from the prison, because they stay only 3 weeks, 2 weeks, then they died it. I don't know what they do, because outside you didn't see anything which is injured, but inside everything is damaged. When I was living with my uncle, and that night around 3 o'clock, the door was knocking it, and I went look at it on the window. 13 soldiers with a gun, they came in, and they went in the 3rd floor, and we are not allowed outside from the door. And next morning, people are asking about that, what's going on, and then said, oh, the brother Pasanla is not there. They took him away because somebody had said to Chinese that he got a national flag on the home. And they took everything out, and he hid the national flag on our statue. And they took him, and I think he stayed 6 or 7 years in prison. When he came out, he stayed only 2 weeks. He died it. Very badly treated for the prisoner. You know, the criminals, you can pay money to take it out. For the politic prisoners, impossible. I know one of the person who did guide before me. He's much elder, senior. He's from Amdo. He ran many hotels in Lhasa. Not only in Lhasa, Shikazi, Sakya, Mount Kailash. He got many hotels. And we heard about that he had to give lots of donation here in Dharmsala. Now he's a life prisoner. Not only him, also his people who work under him. They treated very badly. You know, it's our country. We have no right to say it. Especially, same as me, we have a lot of Tibetan who study from India, who went back in Tibet. Almost 600, 700 students, I think. But me, I went very early, so we get a guide license. And for the guide license, also for the Chinese, they don't have to give examination. And for the Tibetan people, every year we have to give an exam. And therefore you have to pay for the money also. Beginning when in 1994 to 2000, we don't have a Chinese guide. Majority is a Tibetan guide. Started from 2000, many Chinese guides are coming from China. The more Chinese will come to Tibet, Tibetan people lost the job. And they doesn't know about the Tibet, just to come to earn the money. Some of the 90% the foreigners, when you go to pick up from the airport, they will know you are Tibetan from the face. Are you Tibetan? They will ask me first question. And they're like, if it's a Chinese, when they went back to a hotel, they will call to the agency and said, we don't want Chinese guide. And I had to face a problem when I take a big group, geographic expedition. It's all American. But the group leader, she's a Chinese. She came from China. And it's very difficult to explain about the Tibet. And the group loved to know about Tibet, but she is always with me. So it's too difficult to explain about that. In the first 1996, I went to Chamdo, eastern part of Tibet. I went there with 4 American. And in the way, we will see lots of nomads who are living in a tent. And they're always asking, do you have a picture of His Holiness? And they said, if you have a picture of His Holiness Dalai Lama, we are willingly to give you all butter, milk, what they get it.
Well, wow. I'm just amazed at the strength that you have to be able to sit here and tell us all these stories that are both heartbreaking and amazing. It's amazing to me to hear that throughout all of this systematic racism and this just blunt pain against the Tibetan people, that people still have hope, that they still look to His Holiness. I think that shows so much strength in you and in your people.
2011, I came here for puja. 12, the end of 2011, but started in 2012 in Bodh Gaya by His Holiness. Almost 80,000 Tibetan people came for puja. And after finishing puja, we have to go back to Tibet. On the Nepal, when I get it in Nepal, everybody is talking about now we are facing difficult. But we have to go back. And I went back that time in a border. So many temples with police. Which district you are from? Me from Lhasa, you have to go on Lhasa side. Shigazi, Tsetang, Chamdo, lots of temples there. And you have to register it, and they are taking your passport away, and you have no right to which you get it from His Holiness. And they were giving a piece of paper. When you go there, you have to go to register again when you get in Lhasa. And from me, I went by jeep by myself. We paid it. Actually, it is cost 250 yuan from border to Lhasa. And that time you have to pay 800 yuan to get there. The people from Shigatse area, you have to stay in Nyalam. And that time Tibetan New Year is coming soon. And when we went to Lhasa police station with a piece of paper, and then he said, you have to bring all the blankets and bucket and clothes. I said, you have to stay there for 2 months. And I went to get everything from home and said, you have to wait it here and others will come, then you all have to go together. And we waited almost 12 hours there. And finally he said it, now Tibetan New Year is coming, so you can go to celebrate New Year in your home, and you have to come back on the 6th of the Tibetan New Year with everything again. And 6th, when we came, we all are put it on the bus, big bus, and the front they went a jeep, and there's a like with, I feel like I'm a prisoner because all the windows are closed. You can see outside, the outside people, you cannot see us. And we went We went there, when we get it done, everyone have to get it down, and then we register the name, and then they were giving the room. 25, 23 people live together in one room. And that is one of the biggest military in Lhasa. And we stayed there 2 months, 18 days. We stayed there. 2 days they're saying you have to relax it. After 2 days, then you have to gathering on a big hall, and they will morning 7 o'clock you have to get it up and wash your face, and 8 o'clock to exercise, 8:30 breakfast, again we have a small gap, 9:30 we have a class, and 9:30 not only one teacher, so many teachers turn by turn they will come, and they are teaching about the politics, how bad His Holiness is, and insulting him, and we don't want to. And when we shouted it, again we will get more punishment. That time some of the ladies, they shouted it. Everyone who is above, there are so many Tibetan people who is above 60 years old. They stay on 15 days, I think. And after that they said above 60 years old you can go home. But you have to come back when they call you. When I stayed there for 2 months, 18 days, I saw 5 ladies died it because they are not happy. Today, if you ask me a question, why you been to Kalachakra? How much money you paid? How much you donated it? If you ask this, if you didn't answer the same question tomorrow, then you are gone again. So that makes your mind. Me and there's another girl who is from Missouri school. We two, for one day, 3 times we have to go. They will keep asking questions, because they want to know more. When the people are dying with the unhappy and hurted, and Chinese are not responsible for that. One day, one lady she died with a heart attack, and in there we have 30,000 people living in there. The man and woman all together. We all cried it, and nobody responds for 2 hours. And people who are working under the government, you have to pay for the Chinese monthly. You have to pay 1,500 yuan for them. It's punishment for them. The people who are not working under the government, you have become jobless. And we didn't see our parents for 2 months, 18 days. It's like a prison. I really love to say to the world about that, how badly they treated for the Tibetan people in Tibet, because they doesn't know about that. One day I saw in a Depu monastery, I have 7 people in my group. There's another group, Germany group. They have 17 people in that group. And the guide went somewhere, maybe he went to buy the ticket, the entrance ticket. And he doesn't know that. And one of the men, he got a bunch of photocopies of His Holiness picture. And he gave to all the Tibetan people who is visiting the monastery. Suddenly the police came. The couples, they took it to the airport, sent it back to Nepal. We are not allowed to keep the picture of His Holiness Dalai Lama in our home. Not only the Dalai Lama, in 1 year they made a decision that we are not allowed to keep the statue in your home. You know, in special day, the same in this month, the Sagatawa 15, full moon day, it's a very, very special day for the Tibetan people. The people who are working under the government, you know, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, they hide it all their face and they put the hat and they are going for Kora. Because they are not allowed to go for Kora. When the government see you, then you will become a jobless. When you go for job, first they will ask, how's your Chinese language? If you doesn't know much about the Chinese language, then you are failed. You have to know it. One day when we went to the Everest base camp by track, from Tingri to the base camp, 3 days track. And when we get it on the main point to the base camp, we lost the way. And we left the base camp behind and we went it over, 5 kilometers over. And you know, they saw it and they shouted, and the soldiers were climbing on the mountain. And they asked me, who is a guide? I said, I lost the way. I don't know it. It's for me, it's the first time. And the group is England. They were shocked at how they did it. Because they didn't know about it. I know one of the monks in a Depu monastery. He's working in Depu kitchen. And I didn't see him for a long time. And I asked for one of the monks. He said, he didn't answer to me and he just passed away. And second time, again I asked the same question. And he said, now he's no more in Depu monastery. They took away. When he come out from the prison, all the fingers are damaged. Because they put spring and they tightened it. You cannot talk anything, any words about the freedom. When the Panchen Lama in Depu monastery, which is chosen by the Chinese government, he's coming from China to monastery. And the Chinese government, announced one day before for all the local people, you have to come for welcome for him. And people don't want to go, you have to pay 500 yuan each of the family. You have to pay the money. One day when I was there, not much people came there. And after a year, the 10th Panchen Lama's daughter came to the monastery. So many people came for welcome her. And many of the monastery, they have a monks who dress like a monk, but they are not monk, Chinese. Sometimes when we explain to the tourists, one of the monks will come after us, what we are saying. He is listening to us. I came here, why I came here in second time in here? I was in blacklist in 2008, 2012 and 2013. One of the Rinpoche came to my home. He's from India, and I invited him for dinner in my home. When he left it, I didn't know anything about that. Next day, I went to market and suddenly I got a phone call. And I looked at the number, it's from Shigadze. And I pick up, who's that? And he said, I'm a police. I said, I'm from Lhasa and you are from Shigadze. I said, no more question. You have to come to home and we are waiting to your door. And you have to come after 15 minutes. So I took the taxi and I came here to my home, and the two men, they didn't dress as police. And they have a bunch of papers in their hand. When I opened the door and they said, they didn't say, can I come to home? They just went inside and said, sit, we'd like to ask you some questions. Who is this Rinpoche? Why he came here? And then asked lots of questions. Finally, they saw my son's picture in home and said, where's your son? I said, he's with the dad. You don't have to tell lie. We know each and everything about you. I said, I'm sad because I'm not a permanent, I don't have a permanent job. And he's in permanent job and my son is with him. I said, can I tell you and show you the picture? He said, we know that your son is in India. Who sent him to India? And how? Who helped you? Asked me a lot of questions. Finally, what he said it, we are coming again on Friday. That means I have 5 days. When they came, it's Thursday, and next Friday means I have 5 days. That night I can't sleep. I have to think about it, what I have to do. I didn't tell to my family because I'm living alone. My son is in here. He came here in 2007. Then I contact with the travel agency. Do I have a group on Tuesday? He said, we don't have a group right now. If there is, they will let me know. Then 11 o'clock, he called me, oh Nyma, you are very lucky, there is a group going to the border. Then I said, oh, I'm taking that group. Usually when we have a group there, when the travel agent said that the group is from that country, do you want to take? And we will choose. Now I said, whatever it is, I want to take it. Then I packed some clothes. Then I went with the group. When I get in Shigadze, I called to my brother. I said, I'm leaving to Shigadze and the key is in my neighbor's hand and you have to look after my house, I said. I didn't say that I'm going to leave Tibet. When we get it in Tingre, in a group there is one old lady. She's from England. And after a dinner, we just talked and have a tea. Then I told it her. In my mind, I said, it's the best to tell her. I said, Mary, I'm leaving Tibet. I'm going to India. She's saying, why? I said, I'm facing a problem. So I don't want to stay in Tibet. If I got a problem, what will happen to my son? He's in here. Then she said, then what you will do when you get in India? I said, there is a Tibetan exile in here and they will help me when I face a problem. Nyma, you have to think very well. This is your country, you have to stay in here. I said, Mary, you don't know about the Tibet. How many people will be suffering? And then she said, she's asking me, do you need help? I said, I need your help. To take this, my backpack, this much bag, to Nepal, I will give you a phone number and you can contact him and he will come to pick up my bag. And when the group left, she took my bag. And I have a small bag on. And I stayed border for 2 days, looking for a man who's taking me to Nepal side. Then I met the person who took my son from border to Nepal. And he's charging me huge amount of 2 lakhs he wanted. And I said that I don't have that much money. I can pay you 1 lakh. And he said, now you have to pay extra 10,000. Then I have to think about it. I think this is the right time to pay. Otherwise, I cannot get right person to cross the border. Then I accepted it. He said, leaving at 6 o'clock, we will call you. And that day, he didn't call me. Then I thought that, oh, he might get a problem. Whole night I have to think about it. I couldn't sleep it. Then next day, 11 o'clock, he called me. Nyma, are you ready? What? You told me yesterday at 6 o'clock. What happened? We got problem, he said. Now this time at 6 o'clock, you have to get ready. But it's 5 o'clock, I left it from the border. The car came, I was shocked. It's a Chinese, the car driver. And the car, behind there is one Sherpa. And he said, Nyma, get it in a car. We are passing it. And we will not stop the car. You have to jump it. So I jumped it. And I looked at him, very young Sherpa. And he said, I am taking you to cross the border and you have to get ready. You have to run. And the car will going very speed down to the border in the Friendship Bridge. In the Friendship Bridge, they have lots of trucks. The Nepalese trucks are waiting for the luggage. And from then, I have to jump it with that Sherpa. We jumped it and It's like a forest. I felt it down. Said, Nyma, we have no time. You have to run it. We run. Almost 3 hours we run it. And I was so tired because I never used to it. Then said, I need a rest. He said, 15 minutes more you have to run. And then there is a cave. And we can stay there for rest. And that time I didn't bring water with me. He brought 2 beer, the tin bottle. He said, do you want to drink? No, I don't want to. You drink. And he drank 2 beer. I said, don't drink too much. If you are drunk, then I will stuck in there. Then he said, take it easy. I will get you in Nepal side. You don't have to worry. Then after that, again we have to run. 7 hours running. Then it become dark. And there I saw many people on the riverside. I said, what's going on there? Now they will trying to tighten you. 3 people at other side, 3 in this side, and they put the rope. And between the rope they pull the roll. And then you have to tie it on the roll, and they tie it up, and other will pull you up. Actually, I want to make the video because they said it's too dangerous because this side is a Tibet side, that side is Nepal. When you put the light, then the Chinese will know. So I didn't get a chance to make the video. When we get there, then you have to start climbing up. One by one, they are going home. On the forest, they have some small village in Nepal side. But still, you are not safe. You know, many Nepalese, they are selling Tibetan people back to China with the money. After that, midnight at 3 o'clock, we get it on the Nepal side. When I looked at that, I saw the Friendship Bridge down there. And the man with the motorbike, he's waiting down there. And the last man, he said, now you have to go with a motorbike. I said, I want to see you, who you are, because he put the helmet. Then I went with him. It's winter time, freezing. 1 hour on the bike, and other side there, when we get it there is a Sherpa guest house in Nepal side. And the man said, you cannot come out from the room until he's back next day. And I was so tired, I didn't get anything, and I slept till 12 o'clock next morning. And 12:30, man didn't come. I waited, 2 o'clock he came. And he's sending me in a jeep to Nepal. I said, on the way, if they stop me, what I have to say? And he said, you know the Indian language, and you have to say you are from Darjeeling. From Darjeeling people, they speak Hindi also. And you said you have to come to Tatapani for hot spring. And I don't have any ID. For God's sake, they didn't ask me anything. I was on the front seat with the driver. And I covered all my face. In a jeep, there are 3 Nepalese and 1 Chinese tourist at the back seat. And they check in his bag, and the police didn't ask me any question about that. Around 10 o'clock, I get it in Nepal. When I get in Nepal, I saw the stupa. Then I cried it there. Thank God, finally I get it in Nepal. In 2012, I met a lady from Nepal, Tibetan lady, and I have her contact. I called her, Aja, I'm here in Bauda Gate. Can you come to pick me up? Really? She said. She came with a slipper. Said, she was so surprised to see me. How you escaped? Before I came to Nepal, I wrote an email. Man called Uk, who is also a good fighter for the Tibet. Maybe you have seen him in Russian football time. He put the national flag, and I know him very well. He worked for MSF in Tibet for 10 years. So I wrote a letter to him that, and I'm leaving Tibet, and my son name is this, and he's in this school, his age. If there is no news from me for a month, that means I'm taken away by Chinese, and you have to take care for my son. I wrote it. When I get it there in Nepal, after 2 days, I can't stand up. All the legs are pain because I felt it many times, and my one arm was broken due to that. So I told my Aja that, can you email to him and say that I'm safe to get in Nepal. And he wrote it back that there is a lady called Marcel, and Marcel is she's also freedom fighter for the Tibet in France, and you have to contact with her. And they're taking care for me, took me to the hospital, and kept their house for 6 days. After that, I joined to reception center in Nepal. Then I stayed there for 22 days. Beginning, first time I'm alone. Then next time, week ago, the Amdo boy came also. He's also came from the border, same as me. Then another 3 person came, but they came by flight through Bangkok. And total we have 11 people who from Tibet escaped. And we stayed in Nepal reception for 22 days. Then after that, we are in here in reception center. 14 March, we get a blast from His Holiness Dalai Lama. I came in 2014. I get it in here February 24th. I reached in Dharmsala. Now almost 5 years back. And during that 5 years to 3 years, I can't contact with my family because they face lots of problem because of me. Because every 14th of March, they will call you where I am. Because the people who joined in Kala Chakra in 2012, we are in a blacklist. 6 months we cannot go to the Bhagor Square. We are not allowed. Every 14th of March, they will call you where you are. Are you still in Lhasa? You are not go outside. And that time they called, and my mobile was switched off. And then they came to my home, it's locked. So they searched it, went to my dad, went to my brother, and my dad was retired. And my brother, he's going to lose his job because of me. Now my dad don't want to speak to me because he was so afraid. If he talk to me, then he will also in trouble. Though I don't want to make them trouble also. After 3 years, I contact with my brother once. They said they came to his house and asking where I am. And he said it, we don't know where she is. We have no contact. The police saying, don't be a lie. We got your phone registered. Because I called it when I get it in Nepal. I said, now I am in Nepal. You don't have to worry to me. I call him and tell to Dad there also I'm in Nepal with safe. Many of the Tibetan people from Tibet in here in Dharmsala, their parents are in Tibet, and they cannot contact for every time. Some of them 2 times in a year, sometimes 5 years in. Because we don't want to make them in difficult also because of us. If you have any other questions, you can ask me.
I'm blown away. I'm amazed at how strong you are.
Thank you.
And I am so grateful that I've gotten to hear all this. It must have been so hard, especially being a tour guide to Westerners and other foreigners, having to be happy and talk about your culture when you know that it wasn't free in the first place.
I have 2 couples from Belgium, and they came in 1998 in Tibet. And they saw how they treated us, because when we are going to the Everest, people love to go very early because you can see the view, the sunshine on the Everest. Not only the Everest, also the Makakalo, Shishapangma, all the mountains, holy mountains, you will see all in line in the pass. So we went very early in the morning, and all the police are in a sleep, and we have to register it. That is their duty. And we came in, that is in winter time. We are cold at outside. Tingri is very cold, and we are jumping. It's very cold. We say like that, shouting it. The police came with a stick. He's going to hit me, and they saw it. And these couples, they tried to push him. I said, don't. If when you push it, then we are in big trouble again. I said, it doesn't matter. It's always going like that. So when I came here, I wrote it that I'm in India. They're so surprised. They came to meet me in here. Dad, Ook, and other Dutch couples, they came to, because when they visited Tibet, I took to tour with them. I think it is when you interview me this, you have to tell to the in America everything about the Tibet. We need people who help for the Tibet.
I know that I will definitely be telling your story and definitely do all I can to let the world know what you've gone through, what other people are going through, and kind of what our hope is for
And
Tibet.
His Holiness Dalai Lama used to say that we have a less population. We need more children. And the Chinese, they're banded. Tibetan have only 2. In olden time, the family have 13, 14 children. We can manage it, but the government control it. In olden time, in a monastery, in a family, if they have two sons, the elder should join to the monastery. That's why we have a huge number of the monks in a monastery. They also love to join in monastery too. Nowadays, people love to join in monastery or nunnery, and you have to go to the Chinese government to get a permission to being a monk and nun. And I don't know about in a monk's living room, but I often taking them to the nunnery in Lhasa. In the nun's living room, the Chinese government had to put the television in there. I saw the television. Oh, are you using a television? I said it to the nun. It's not mine. They're forced to put the television in your room, disturbing your mind.
That feeling of not being free in your own country must be really hard to process and work through.
In many years before, the monastery loved to have to join in a monastery. The more you join it, we have a more monks and nuns. Looks like a religious. But nowadays they make the limit. And this nunnery, you have to 100 and this, and this monastery you have this much, and not more than that. And always showing that they are doing this and that. When the tourists will passing from airport to the Lhasa in city, on the way you will see the many of the farmers' house. In olden time, the house is very beautiful. In the bottom, they used to keep the animal. The second floor, they used to stay. Because in Tibet, we don't have a heating system. Makes you warm by the animal. These all houses are damaged. And they give a loan to the people to build a new house, and they have to pay back to the government with the interest. And they want to show for the tourists that Chinese have did this good road, good house, and a school, and they're saying, and the school they used to say that it's a free education for the children. But you have to pay for the uniform, you have to pay the books. And the parents have to go for the lunchtime to feed for them. Again, they have to come back. It's not a free education. I think the people who live in Tibet, they're suffering a lot, especially the prisoners. You can meet the prisoner, not the politic prisoner. The criminals, you can meet your family once a month, every 15th day of month. But for the politic prisoners, you cannot meet your I'm very, very pity for the monks and the nuns who are in a monastery in Tibet.
Can you feel the difference here in exile at the monasteries and with like interacting with the monks and nuns? Can you see a visible difference between the people here and the people still in Tibet?
Monks who are in Tibet, they don't have a single room. You have to share 4, 5 together. And they didn't get food from the monastery. The parents have to bring it only on special days, like a full moon day and 25th and 8th, according to our calendar. Then they have a chanting in the main assembly hall. That time they will get it. When I take a tourist, some they love to give a donation to the monastery or in a school or in an orphan school. Not allowed. You have to get permission again. And the foreigners are not allowed to visit the school in Tibet. Here you can get it freedom. You can go to Kora, you can go for coffee, you can go for a walk at the evening. In Tibet, they don't have. They have to always go through the rules. When they love to go to meet their parents, again they have to get permission. It's all indisciplined. And some of the monks, I think they never seen their parents for 3 years, 4 years like that, staying in a monastery. Actually, the summer palace in Nopalinga in Lhasa actually is a part of the monastery and the summer palace for His Holiness. Now they made it like a museum, just to get the money from the entrance ticket. Also in the Potala Palace, visiting time is only 1 hour for the tourists. And we don't know where the money is going. And I heard that from the entrance ticket, 40% get to the monastery, 60% there goes to the government. And how many people will visit the Potala Palace in one day? They're giving only 1 hour, from morning 8 o'clock to evening 4:30. Where the money is going? In Potala Palace, many of the things are missing. They're taking to China. You know, the Chinese heads, they will come to visit the monastery and they are giving a big present for them and they are taking back to China. When I went to China in 2000, I saw lots of things from Tibet in a museum. The scripture, statue, and precious things. These all are from Tibet. You know, the Chinese, they officials, they are going to the hot spring place called Thomo. They are not visiting that place. They just to have a fun in there, to have a fish in there, because in that place the fish is very popular in Tibet. They just to have go to fun and have a fish, and they will come back. And the Tibetan people are not allowed to go there for hot spring.
It's abusing your culture and your people for their own gain. And I'm sorry that you have to go through that and feel that, and that you had to see that happen firsthand.
Lots of trip. Because I stayed 11 years in India, 18 years in Tibet, a big difference. Tibetan people, the life is totally different. And here, you can go everywhere in your wish. Nobody will carry you. In Tibet, if you go to one place to another, you have to carry lots of documents with you. From Lhasa to border, you need a photocopy 13 times. You have to show every hours there is a police.
What would you say is your hope for Tibet? What you want to see for the future of your people?
I love to, His Holiness will be in Lhasa. I love to see, always pray, when I go to the monastery, I will always pray that His Holiness come back to Tibet, and waving the hand in top of the Potala Palace. And all the people in the ground will watch him. We love to welcome him. I think he also loved to go back to Tibet. He might be missing Tibet very much, more than I do, honestly. Tibetan people love him to be in Tibet. We know that in Tibet it's very strict. Still in our heart, always him, for his long life. Tibetan people are not allowed to give his picture, but the picture is in the heart. In 2008, the big demonstration in Lhasa, and that time, many people have to hide the picture of His Holiness Dalai Lama picture, because some people have. Because people are telling rumors that the police will come to check in your house for the picture, and many people they hide the picture. Me also have 3 pictures, and I also thought it might become, so I give it to one of the monk. Keep that picture for a while. I think one day we will get a freedom. That is my hope.
I agree. I really hope for you, for His Holiness, and for all of Tibet, that one day you can claim your rights in your country again.
Tibetans who are in Tibet waiting for him.
Thank you so much for sitting down and talking to us. I know I appreciate it. I'm sure everyone else here is very appreciative of you coming and telling your story. I hope that I can be a vessel for you and for His Holiness, and let my friends and my peers and anyone I can get a hold of about what all is really going on and how change is necessary.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone, because when you interview me, you might be enough. Everyone can see it, and they can know little bit about the Tibet. So it will help for the Tibetan people, I think. Thank you so much for everyone.
Yeah.